Good afternoon, everybody, and good morning to those that are on the left coast. Thanks for showing up today for our live webinar being put on by both Teel Technologies Canada and Sumuri. My name is Frank Corkery. I'm a sales representative and a forensics examiner with Teel Technologies Canada. And we'd like to present today. We're going to have presenting Sam Deckoff from Sumuri. Sam is the senior manager in the TALINO division, so the hardware division of Sumuri. And he's going to give us some insights on what makes the TALINO such great forensics workstations. So without anything further, I'm going to turn this over to Sam now.
Thank you, Frank. So welcome to the webinar, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into the world of TALINO. This is my world every day and something I'm always happy to engage in and exist in. It's a really nice place to be. But first, a little bit about me. I am a CFCE. I've got over 20 years of building and fixing computers experience. This is something that came from a very early age, from when I was a curious child and I would break computers, and my parents' punishment was, well, you break it, you're fixing it. And so that ended up being actually a very good lesson for me, and one that got me into more fixing computers just as beyond a hobby. I've been working for Sumuri now for almost 4 years. I do have 2 degrees, one in information systems management and computer network engineering. As I mentioned before, I do have my CFCE. That's something given out by ASIS through their very rigorous 6-month, I guess it would be the testing, or the, what's the word for it, the practical phase, and then finally you're given to it, and it's a very prestigious certification. I'm glad I have it. Before Sumuri, I was a math teacher and tutor for 4 years, and I'm sure there's some people out there that are cringing at the thought of being back in their math class right now. Just rest assured, I was just like you at one point. It just so happened that my degree required a lot of math, so it ended up beating my head against the wall of mathematics until I eventually liked it. But seriously, it's I didn't always like it, but I've been very blessed to have great instructors over the years who imbued within me a sense that math may not always have to be painful. And so when I was invited to be a tutor and a teacher, one of the things that I've always emphasized to my students was the concept of mathematics over the procedure. One of the very big examples I used with people was, when's the last time you remember steps 1 through 10 of anything for more than maybe an hour? And most people would be quiet and they would be, oh, never. Okay. When's the last time you forgot how money works? And they would say, oh, never forgot how money works. Okay. When's the next time you're going to forget how money works? Never. Oh, hopefully never. Geez. But that would be something that we would try to emphasize with our students, myself included, and it produced some students that it was great. You would be able to, once they got a hold of the material, you would give them any kind of problem you want, even those trick questions that people like to talk about in math, and they know their stuff, and so they get through it. As Frank mentioned, I am the senior manager for TALINO, and so I oversee the daily operations of the division. This includes research and development. This includes sales. This includes tech support. This includes helping out on the engineering and production side for when they build, install, ship, etc. For that, I help answer questions and keep things running smoothly. And so I'm always a great resource and always happy to lend my expertise to the team to make sure that we can make our machines as good as possible. And a little fun fact about me, I love headphones. I've said headphone for some reason. Headphones, mechanical keyboards, and other geeky stuff like video games, etc. I live for the thok, which is, for the people that are keyboard nerds, they're going to know that is the sound, a certain specific sound that some mechanical keyboards make with certain switches and keycaps, and it's a whole rabbit hole, but I love that stuff. It's great. So we're going to go to the next slide. So a little history about TALINO. It was created in 2013 by our co-founder, Steve Whalen. Steve himself is a forensic examiner and a retired Delaware State trooper. He was a trooper for over 15 years and has been doing hundreds and hundreds of examinations. He's an incredible resource, not just for helping us out with TALINO, but also especially with forensics as a whole. He has unbelievable experience with Macs, especially. That's definitely his forte, and I'm sure some of you may have even sat in on John's talks. So John's gotten a big start and learned a lot since he came here. A lot of that stuff comes from Steve and his expertise over the years. We originally founded the brand to prevent examiners from falling victim to the companies that really are only interested in making a quick buck, or who's only interested in the money for it. One of the things that we wanted to do is give examiners a machine that they know that is specialized and can do their casework and shred through it as quickly as possible without breaking the bank, and basically just trying to be a more humanitarian, human, customer-centric brand. And in 2 short years, that has paid off for us. We have become the best-selling forensic workstation in the whole forensic workstation industry. It's a real honor to be that, and we're always happy to continue innovating and try to be the best that we can be, and always stay on top of our game so we can always present products and present solutions to customers that delight. Next slide. So one of the things that people always talk about, where specs are just specs, right? I can't tell you how many times we have gotten bid requests or quote requests from people, and they lay out more generic specifications. Maybe they just need 4 cores or 8 cores. And there are other companies that exist out there that go, oh, well, this CPU is 6 years old, but it has 4 cores or it has 8 cores, because the core game has been kind of, for the most part, in the same place for a long while. And we're just never really satisfied with that. So we always go out of our way to try and move heaven and earth to get the most modern stuff that we can get our hands on. Obviously, as you can probably imagine, the silicon shortage that's affecting the world right now can make that a little bit trickier, but we're always willing to try and meet demands in the most up-to-date method possible. We are only partnered with reputable brands that we all know and love and recognize, people like Samsung. As someone who's been building computers for years on my own, I only use Samsung at home. I love EVGA, and we use a ton of their power supplies. I love Western Digital, and that's another brand that we're partnered with. We use them. Eureka for our RAID cards, high-end, very powerful RAID cards. We love them, and everybody recognizes them. They do incredible work. And one of the things that are special about a TALINO is not just that, but we also emphasize, because forensic examiners need I/O, one of the things that enable that are USB ports and PCIe lanes. So we have a special proprietary, I wouldn't say it's proprietary, but it's a specialized card that you can use that we make use of, that actually allows us to help limit bottlenecks for USB transfer speeds, because each different port or each different chip, depending on which part of the system you're looking at, may have more bandwidth to use. So you're not necessarily sharing resources and slowing down transfer speeds. Next slide. One of the things that really makes the TALINO special is the one-of-a-kind chassis design. Now, we get a lot of talk about people who say, well, why would I buy a bespoke solution? Why wouldn't I just build my own? And that's a fair point. You can always build your own, and we'll get into some of the points for why that is. But one of the very big reasons is our extremely special chassis design. This is a revolutionary double chamber design. This is the entire point of it, was so that we could keep the stuff that generates a lot of heat and is electrically sensitive, things like your CPU, things like your GPU, things like your RAM, your RAID card, etc., on one side of the chassis, and then keep the stuff that maybe will generate a lot of EMI and other electromagnetic noise, things like your power supply and spinning hard drives, on the other side, so that way these things don't affect each other, and they help in length and longevity of your workstation. Another thing that makes it special is the 3mm powder-coated rolled aluminum that we use on all sides. Fun fact, we used to be 2mm, and then we went through a period of time where we expanded the plates on the inside to 3mm, and that was really awesome. But after a certain point, we said, you know what? I think we can do 3mm really everywhere. And so we then went out of our way to expand even the panels on the outside of the chassis and the doors on it to 3mm, and it's just proven to have this incredibly rigid, durable structure that helps. And also, because the whole thing's made of aluminum, it helps dissipate heat even better. And so that's another reason. And of course, everybody likes fans in their computer. It keeps things cool. It creates for some people, a nice little white noise that helps keep them occupied on their work, and so things like that. And we've got 11 of them, and they're very quiet fans that help keep things cool and maximize that airflow to make sure. And we have a minimum of 11 fans, for what it's worth, by the way. We have gotten cases, and we've built systems that use many, many, many more fans than that. I think our maximum is probably what? Let me think, 12, 13, 14, 15, I want to say like 18 or 19, and it just gets crazy because of the kind of configurations that we can do with our chassis design. And the last point there, 16 front and rear bay, 5¼ inch slots for huge configuration choice. This one is for the most part self-evident. The idea being that a big part of what makes a forensic workstation what it is the I/O on the front. Things like your hot swap bays, things like your write blockers, your USB ports. We have a ton of different space in order to slot things in, so that people can use that. And you're probably wondering, what's with the floppy disks at the bottom of the page? Those are those. If anybody in here is maybe a little older than me, I'm sure there are a couple people out there. We've got the 5¼ inch floppy. That's how I always remember that size. I think of the 5¼ inch floppy disks. And so it is just, I don't know if it's necessarily connected to it. It may just be a complete coincidence that they're both called 5¼ inch. I'm sure there's maybe a computer historian out there that can let me know after the fact if they're connected in any way or if it's just a happy coincidence. But yeah, it's just something fun to think about. So another thing that makes Talinos very special are the infinite customization choices. The vast majority of the Talinos that we put out are, in fact, completely custom in one way or the other, whether it be they need a special drive configuration, they need a certain GPU, they need a certain CPU with a certain number of cores. Again, we'll try to always get the newest stuff that's available on the marketplace. All these things help tailor the Talino to that specific agency and especially that examiner's needs. So these machines are all designed and configured by CFCEs like me. We have a few other people at the company that are also CFCEs here, and they can also take a look at the designs and help configure it if maybe I'm unavailable or if we need a second hand to help with a sudden influx of work overhead. And so another thing that makes it is that the machines are designed to be ready to go the moment you get it out of the box. All we really have to do is plug it in, hit the power button, and you should be off to the races. Really, the only thing you need to do is just read our quick start guide, and I'll talk about that in a sec. You got to install your tools, and you're ready to go. All Talinos come with a free copy of Autopsy and our other software solution, Paladin Pro and Carbon. Though Carbon does require an activation, that is unfortunately not a free tool, but it does help get it out there in case someone does need to virtualize a Windows environment. John or someone else from our software can more than happy to expand on that if you have any questions. But Paladin's a very powerful tool for imaging. It's a forensic suite, and it comes absolutely free with every Talino. And we just include it on a USB that goes right in the box in it. Now, I mentioned this quick start guide before. We went out of our way to really make these Talinos as ready to go right out of the box as possible, and that is really exemplified in our quick start guide. It is really just a one pager, not even front and back, just one side. It's a one pager. It's got just a few steps for hit the power button, check your cables, log in, and then you're good to go. We always include built-in write blockers into there. I know everybody loves Tableau out there. We are partnered with OpenText so that we put Tableau products in there. But if your agency has a specific or special need for another Tableau, or I should say write blocker manufacturer, we can definitely do that. And another fun thing that Talinos do that make them stand out from other people is a free plexiglass engraving with your order. So if you want to put your agency's logo, or if you have some other fun idea, maybe if you want to put the Death Star on the side of your Talino, we can do that. That's something that we'd be happy to do. And if you have any fun engraving ideas, I definitely want to hear from you. So Talinos are also known for the best quality assurance that you can find anywhere. I promise this picture will be explained. Please give me just a second. Talinos are benchmarked, and we benchmark them using a variety of programs on hand that are all industry standard, designed to find out exactly how well the hardware is performing, and not just in terms of raw numbers, but we put that on a benchmark metric that's versus the whole rest of the world that uses that program or uses those programs. They are stress tested for a minimum of 72 hours. All the ports on the front and on the back of the Talino, that includes USB ports, Ethernet ports, all those things are checked and double checked before they go out the door. And then just in case the stress testing may have caused something to fail, which pretty rare, but once in a blue moon we'll find something that happens like that, and so it's benchmarked a second time just to make sure it's performing exactly as it should before it goes out the door. So our goal with the stress testing and everything else is to put it far beyond what forensic examiners or investigators are going to be able to put it through, the point being so that we break it so that you can't, and that's where the picture comes in. I promise we are not taking your Talino out into a field with a baseball bat and beating it or anything like that, but I gotta rep Office Space, such a good movie. Even the shipping on Talinos is been custom designed, and we went out of our way to make sure that it was this all-in-one solution, so that it all was part of the great experience that you get from purchasing a Talino. The box itself is custom designed. We even included a sling so that two people, when they're standing over the box, are able to physically lift it out of the box much more easily. We've designed custom foam for it, and there's even a special place to slot away the build boxes. Build boxes, if you don't know, include things like your manual, your accessories, any swag that we include in there, your copy of Paladin Pro that I mentioned before. If you have any extras, maybe some people need that PCIe adapter kit for their Tableau, for their tub device, then that's going to be in there. We do prefer FedEx Freight for domestic shipments. We've had the best success with them so far. They've done a really great job of getting things out across the country and in a timely fashion. We're really big fans of it. But for international stuff, we'll go even further, because obviously international freight shipment is very expensive. So we don't necessarily always use freight for that. So we go out of our way to make sure that it's even better packed than before, just in case it falls off a truck or something like that. Because once it's out of here, it's out of our hands, unfortunately. We would love to follow it during its journey, but not yet. Maybe one day we'll be able to get somebody that can do that, if we can get FedEx to agree to it. And if you have a need to work with other freight forwarders or another carrier, we know a lot of people internationally need to work with someone like DHL. We can do that as well. So I mentioned before that you could build your own solution, and that's perfectly fine. But one of the best parts about having a Talino is almost for sure the tech support. The tech support, we have a ton of people here that know a lot about computers, and I don't just mean people that are able to follow flowcharts. I mean, these people are all able to work on computers and understand the inner workings of them better than your average person, far, far beyond. And if you were to total all of that, all of those people and their collective knowledge together, you get well over a century of experience and knowledge from there. And so another thing that makes it special is if you submit a ticket or you send us an email, almost always we get to your email and response in less than 24 hours, and even sometimes on weekends we'll get to that. If we're open, generally it's only maybe an hour or two at most before someone responds to us. And you can really text us if you want to. We do have people that text customers with, hey, my Talino is doing this, or hey, I have a question about that. You can text us if you really want to. And in case of emergencies, there have even been cases where we've given out personal numbers, where if there have been times before, I remember when we were traveling for a conference or something, I've heard Steve or Jason on the phone with somebody who's like on scene and they need a specific tool, or they have a question about something, and so that's on the weekend, or like maybe it's 2 or 3 in the morning for those guys, and we're able to help them out as best as we can. And it doesn't really matter whether you bought it through a reseller or whether you're an international customer. We're always going to be there to help you out if you're able to reach out to us, and so that's no problem for us. There's a variety of different ways to get tech support. The 4 biggest ways are that you can just create a support ticket at helpdesk.sumuri.com. You can also email helpdesk@sumuri.com. That will create a ticket, though it doesn't come with all the same sort of like support ticket parameters that help it get filed away as quickly as possible. So it might slow us down just a touch. So the best way to do it is always to go on to helpdesk.sumuri. But you can always email us too. I don't think we've ever had an issue getting it when somebody emailed helpdesk@Sumuri. You could send us an email directly. I mentioned helpdesk@Sumuri, but you can also reach out to us at our main email account, hello@Sumuri. You can call our office during our normal business hours. We're a Monday through Friday operation, 9 to 5. We're on the East Coast. We're located in Magnolia, Delaware. We are closed on federal holidays, but I mentioned before, if you really need some help, please try and submit a ticket or give us a call or something like that. Anyway, chances are good that if you really need some help, we may be able to make something happen. And of course, during normal business hours, we actually have a neat little instant messaging tool where if you go to our website, you'll see on the bottom right, you'll see a little online button. And if you click that, yes, it will in fact ring 8 or 9 people's computers and somebody will answer. I promise you, it is annoying. It's designed to be annoying. It's so we can help you guys. It's really important. Again, going back to you could build your own, but another thing that makes it awesome is that it doesn't matter what Talino you get, you're going to get an industry-leading 3-year warranty Absolutely no exceptions. It's a standard thing that comes with all Talinos. The whole system is covered. I promise you, if you break a USB port, or if your right blocker suddenly starts acting a little bit funky, or one of your hot swap bays, or maybe your program's not running as fast as it should, there are no exceptions to this. If you give us a call and tell us that something's not working the way you expect it to, we are definitely be able to give you a hand with that. And if you decide to, if you're the kind of person like me who likes to understand how things work, if you want to open something up and tinker with it just to see how things work, you can do that. It won't void the warranty or anything, but would ask that you at least give us a call or an email before you do so that we can give you a hand, because sometimes there are stuff that is it's pretty custom and pretty specialized in there. So we want to be able to give you a guided tour if you really need it before anything might happen. And in the case of tech support or help with the warranty, we may even ask you to replace a part inside it if it fails on your own. That's not to mean that you'll be all by yourself. It just means that it's a lot faster to ship somebody a USB hub or ship somebody a fresh stick of RAM if something has gone wrong with it. But rather than ship the whole machine back here, diagnose it, fix it, and then get it out. It saves on time, it saves on shipping costs, saves on hassle. These machines are not lightweight. And we're happy to walk you through that whole process if you're not a really computer savvy person. We have done phone calls and video calls. We do Google Duo. We've done WhatsApp. We've done Skype. We've done all kinds of different things. I know we've talked to people even on like stuff like Signal and Telegram, depending on what people need to use. And we'll even work with you if your agency has a drive retention policy. We know sometimes this stuff, your machines may have material on it that your agency does not permit to leave and that you're not allowed to get rid of it or send it anywhere. And so if you have a need for drive retention in your drive retention policy, just let us know during the quoting process and in the purchasing and configuration process, and we'll do our best to make something happen. Extended and premium warranties. So the 3-year warranty is great, but not every agency is able to renew for a new TALINO or a new computer or a new whatever every 3 years. Some people, they've got to extend it more, 4 years, 5 years, sometimes even longer. We do offer extensions on the warranty up to a whole nother 2 years, so you can get a maximum of 5 years on any single TALINO. If you ever have any questions about that, you always reach out to us. We'll be happy to help. And we also offer premium warranties. You can combine premium warranties and extended warranties. Basically, a premium warranty, it takes that same great warranty that we've had before and it adds even more benefits and perks to it, because some agencies do have sort of a zero downtime policy. That is to say, once their machine goes down, they're really not able to bear having it down for any longer than maybe a few minutes. And so for them, being able to get something up and running that much faster is really critical. So I thought at this point we'd go through some of the levels of TALINOs that we offer here, the types of classes or sort of types of TALINOs that we sell. There are some people that only need a forensic workstation, or maybe they only deal in mobile forensics, or maybe they don't have all the money in the world to put together an incredible machine. So for those people, we do have solutions. One of the big ones is the Nano. This is a really tiny package. I remember the first time I saw it when I started working at Sumuri. It is a really tiny computer chassis, and it does pack a ton of power in that little package there. It's pretty great. We use the standard high-end gaming CPUs in there. I think your 11700Ks, and now we're going to be soon moving over to the 12700Ks. Those are awesome. It does have an integrated GPU, so for people that need a graphics card, it doesn't come with one out of the box, but if you need one, just let us know. We're always happy to try and work with you. We know how important it can be sometimes to have a powerful graphics card in there that can help accelerate your forensic tools. In addition to that, we also have the KA101. This is the first sort of mid-sized TALINO. This uses our normal M8X chassis. This is that dual chamber design I mentioned before. That thing is great for mobile forensics, and it can do a lot more than that too. It's a little more future-proof because the size of the case is bigger, so you have more slots to put things into. It uses that great workstation chipset, the X299 chipset. This means CPUs like the 10900X, the 10980XE, those really powerful CPUs, and it's the first model that has a dedicated GPU just right out of the gate for you. So if you ever need that acceleration, you can get it. Up next, we do have the beginning of sort of the mid-range of forensic workstations. This is your TALINO KA301s. This is a great middle ground for the examiners that need to do not just mobile. Maybe they need to do computers. Maybe they need to do whatever their agency passes to them, and they need to process it and get the evidence and data off of it. This one is awesome, and it handles just about everything really well. It starts off at 64 gigs of RAM. It includes a high-end GPU, things like a 3070 Ti, 3080. We could put something even higher end if your agency has a need for it. It comes right away with that great. Another thing that comes special about forensics is RAIDs. It's used in other fields and other industries, but it's a very big tool and a very big, important part for forensics as well, because this evidence is not stuff that's very willing to be lost. It needs to be held onto, and it needs to have redundancy, and that's exactly what we intend to do. It comes with a 4-drive RAID array built right into the machine, right out of the box, and it's got a great drive layout, so you have plenty of different drives in order to say your temp cache is here, your OS is here, your databases are here, your evidence goes here, and it's always fast. We insist on Samsung SSDs, whether they be 2.5-inch SATAs, whether they be NVMe M.2s. We are on the 980 Pros. Those are the brand new ones from Samsung. Those things are killer. And the KA501, depending on who you ask, counts as a mid-range. It may be a little bit higher, but we'll talk about that in just a sec. Moving into the mid and high end, I mentioned before the 501. A lot of people, depending on who you ask, would consider this a mid-range or a high-end computer. Some agencies, this will do literally everything they throw at it. The CPU that we like right out of the gate for it is the 10980XE. That is to say 18 screaming cores of performance right there ready for you as soon as you pull it out of the box. Comes standard with 128 gigs of RAM. But if you need more, the platform does support more, and the motherboards that platform exists on do support more. So we can do all the way up to 256 gigs of RAM. It comes with even more storage out of the box. All the drives are bigger. There's more of them. There's 8 drives in that RAID. And no, unlike some other solutions that exist on the market, by putting in your RAID, you do not lose your front hot swap bays. That was something that I've seen on some of the other computers that exist out there. It's really disappointing. They promise this. They promise you hot swap bays, and they promise you RAIDs, and when you pick the RAIDs, you lose the hot swap bays, some or all of them, and we don't really have that problem. And if you have a need for even more hot swap, we always want to hear from you. It's the perfect machine for tools like Magnet Axiom that can leverage that extra horsepower. Magnet Axiom makes use of more cores, tons of RAM. It's almost like custom designed for Magnet Axiom. It's great for that. And it even includes that very high-end GPU that we mentioned before in the 301, the same one. And if you need more, we can do it, because Magnet, like I said, and other tools such as Griffi do make use of high-end GPUs in certain situations. We can go even further, though. The TALINO KA701 and the 901, those are both using dual Xeon scalables. These are server-grade CPUs. These are very powerful. These have less of an emphasis on those clock speeds that you've heard about, and much more of an emphasis on core count. So that is to say concurrent operations within a program or a tool that you're using. These scalables are really powerful, and they're really cool. I'm sure if you ever have seen one out in the field, you'll appreciate just how awesome those things look. There's a ton of RAM potential, and when you go to these Xeon scalables and the 701, the 901, and similar ones, you'll see that we've moved the RAM. Not just that there is potential for more of it, up to a whole terabyte even, but it's also error correcting memory, so ECC memory. It's got the same high-end GPU as before. It's the same awesome RAID from the 301 and the 501, and just like before, you can still customize the heck out of it. And it's got a much higher performance ceiling than the lower TALINOs, just because when you go into that server space, you typically have more PCIe lanes, you have more RAM that you can add on to it. You've got a significantly wider variety of CPUs that you can put into it. And so if you need to expand it even further and put that ceiling even higher, you definitely can. One of the things that we hear a lot about, and we've heard a lot about, and we've responded, is about AMD. It seems like ever since AMD put out their Ryzen CPUs, they've really been making a ton of waves in the PC space. So we wanted to offer something for it. We do offer Threadripper. The 3960X is what we offer standard on our website, but if you do see something from Threadripper that's higher end, because that is the 24 core model, if you would rather see the 3970 or even the 3990X, so that's 32 cores or 64 cores built in, we can probably make something happen. We haven't, I don't think we've actually had any orders quite yet that have come in for a 3990, but I know that we can make something happen there. And during our initial testing, when we were trying to figure out exactly what makes AMD so special, we found that it was mostly Coke kind of versus Pepsi, but time and your tools will tell. We hear that Threadripper has been really good for some tools. Maybe they've added some optimizations depending on what CPU you have in there if you do have a Threadripper, but at our time of our testing, we found that it was Coke versus Pepsi, which in a way is a very high compliment because Intel was such the vetted, such an existing industry standard for people. I mean, I know people that still swear allegiance to their Intel machines and some people who have been able to be swayed to the red team. And so depends on really who you ask, but we found that they're both great for forensics. We have no issue with either one. The website configuration, we really went out of our way to design it so that people who really want to get really nitty gritty with the configuration before they even reach out to us have the means to do so. So this is something that starts off with a much more inexpensive workstation, but you can customize it to be much more higher end. And of course, even though there's a ton of choices, you can always reach out if you need even something even more custom than that. For the classes of TALINO, again, now we move into specialty TALINO models. This means TALINOs that have really been tailored around specific forensic tools. The Nuix Forensic Workstation is specifically designed. This one was, I remember coming on into the company and seeing the Nuix Workstation and being really, really impressed with the revised drive configuration that we use for that one. Just a lot more RAID configurations and speed designed to just crush casework inside Nuix. It's really a powerful workstation. Very cool to see. One of the most recently added TALINO to our website and to our lineup is the TALINO OrcaSite from of course, OrcaSite. The tool is very versatile, so we wanted to keep it a little more simple so that way people are not overwhelmed with choices. So on the website, you'll see good, better, best, just as an easy way. It's a tool that has a lot of different modules and capabilities built in that you can add it and make it so it's much more modular than a lot of other tools out there. And it can do a lot of stuff. And so we wanted to keep it simple. But again, like always, you can contact us if you need additional configurations or something special or custom specifically for your agency's needs. We also offer the TALINO Belkasoft, which is a very powerful laptop for a powerful tool. We find it's a great replacement for our desktop replacement laptop. There's more on that coming very soon. I'll be talking about that in just a little bit. We can get even more specialized than that, though. We also do cryptanalysis and e-discovery workstations. The KA 1001 and the 1002. These things offer multiple GPUs that's specifically designed to crack passwords. It produces incredible performance doing millions and millions of passwords just every second. So it's perfect for those of you who have a need to run Passware or Hashcat or anything else out there. It's a very powerful workstation that gives you the ability to expand to a ton of different GPUs. And if you have even more of a need, because the 1001 and the 1002 really only come with 3 or 4 GPUs respectively, if you have a need, we can do all the way up to 8 GPUs in a specialized configuration. So that way, if you really have a need to just absolutely demolish password cracking, you can do that. And again, you can always customize it more if you need it. Just feel free to ask. The 3001 and the 3003 is specifically designed for e-discovery and incident response casework. We've gone out of our way to, again, similar to the Nuix before, we've changed the way the drives are laid out. So there's different kinds of RAID levels, different RAID arrays and things like that, specifically designed because we had received feedback from e-discovery and incident response folks in that part of the industry. And so they had a need for different kinds of configuration versus what law enforcement might need. But it is a somewhat similar to the 701X and the 901X. And yes, we have had people that are in law enforcement that have purchased the 3001 or the 3003. We've also had people on the corporate side in e-discovery and incident response that have purchased instead the 701 or the 901. It's not as though only one is good for one and the other is good for the other. It's just making more efficient and optimal picks depending on what your casework looks like. Portable forensic solutions, we do have quite a bit to talk about here. In here, you can talk about the forensic laptops, starting off with the Alpha and the Gamma. These are very slim. I'm actually using an Alpha right now. This one's a little bit older. If you purchase one now, it's going to look a lot different than this. But it's a very powerful laptop that's really designed for on-scene casework and being able to be picked up and just taken around no matter where you go. But it still offers plenty of fast speed and very responsive system. I mentioned before, desktop replacement laptop. That is the Omega and the incident response laptops that we offer there. Those are really the granddaddy of laptops. I have never seen a laptop as crazy as these things. And when we first got them in, I was pretty flabbergasted that we were able to get this much power into one package. It's got a full fat desktop CPU. I think right now it's the 11900K. It's crazy. We've got a 3080 GPU inside with a whole 15 gigs of VRAM, and it's got 4 NVMe M.2 drive slots for maximum storage speeds. It's really, really crazy. We also do ruggedized laptops too. This is one of our more recent offerings. We've got a few different models right now, the TRL 53, the 5X, and the 6.5. These things, they're really built like a tank. It may even survive one. If you've tested this, give me a call, but please don't test this. It does have water and dust resistance available for it. If you need that, depending on the model, there's more or less. It does have MIL STD 461G specification compliance available for it. If that's something important, I know some agencies do require that. You can have, depending on the model, up to 6 feet of drop protection. The customizations when we first started offering this one really blew me away when I first saw it. There's just so many choices that you can put into it. It's almost for sure one of, if not the most customizable section of our lineup. It's pretty crazy. But in exchange for this incredible ruggedness and this incredible durability in these things, you have traded some power. So very often we get questions from people that are like, okay, if I want a forensic laptop, how does that differ from the rugged laptops? And we have to tell them, if you need that great power on the go, then maybe the rugged laptop, if you don't need that ruggedness, isn't maybe your best pick. Instead, you might want to opt for a forensic laptop. But if you need that ruggedness, it's hard to beat. We go even bigger than that, though. We also offer server solutions for the full fat. We're talking like a full 42U server. We offer a model that can accommodate those needs. This is tons of storage, whether it be for body cam footage. We have people that use it for archival long-term data storage. Standard out of the box, it comes with 1.44 petabytes. Yes, petabytes of storage right outside of the gate. That's 120 spinning disks in a single unit. It's really bonkers, and it comes with everything you need to make the whole thing work. We'll just work with you during the process. Comes with a UPS, comes with a network switch, KVM, transformer. It's crazy, and we'll work with you if an order like this comes in, you decide to purchase. We'll be more than happy to work with you to make sure that your electrical needs, that your logistical needs, and everything else are met ahead of time to make sure that we get it right the first time. The KA Nano server. So previously near the beginning of this section, I did talk a lot about our Nano. That is actually going to be using the exact same chassis. This thing, because of how much flexibility it has in that little tiny puny chassis, you can actually store up to 144 terabytes of just raw storage in that thing. And as hard drive technology increases, and maybe if you have a special need, we can maybe find a way to make that number even bigger depending on what you need. And who's to say you're limited necessarily to the Nano chassis? We have done cases before where somebody wanted to keep it in that sort of desktop sort of chassis form factor, but they maybe didn't want the Nano chassis, or maybe they had needs that were too much for a Nano chassis. So we can use that same chassis, some of those same chassis from before, to put even more storage right there on your desk. And because the Nano chassis, or the Nano server, I should say, is a TALINO like all others, you can do a little casework on it, though it's not really designed for that. But we've heard stories of people that are able to do it because we do put a high-end CPU, we put a fair bit of RAM in there. So if you have a little bit of processing you need to do, you can probably do some of it on these. So to summarize, what makes a TALINO so special? Number one, a custom proprietary chassis that's it's really an incredible achievement, and it's something that I've never seen before in all my years of working with computers. It's really, really something very special. We always insist on superior quality components. This, like I mentioned before, the EVGAs, the Samsungs of the world, we insist on it. We won't settle for anything less. The near infinite customization, I promise this is the last time I'll be beating you over the head with the word custom, but it's something that we really do emphasize. It's something that we're really proud of, and that we're always willing to work with people to get them the exact workstation that they need, depending on their forensic workload that they're dealing with. Something that I haven't mentioned a whole bunch of, our pricing is always very competitive. So if your agency has a very strict budget and you have your heart set on a model that may be a little bit out of your budget, we still want you to give us a call. We always want to try and work with you the best we can to get you the machine that works just the way you expect it, at the price that your agency and your purchasing people will be happy with. And I stand by this. I think we have the best support anywhere, period, full stop. It's I remember coming to the company first and seeing the kind of support that we offered to people, and it was unlike anything I've ever seen. Just being able to get friendly with these people and being able to offer them insights into their machines and what could be causing various problems with it was something that was just so powerful. And it's such a great experience for people. I know people that insist, there are people out there that they continue to buy TALINO just because the support is so great. They insist on it everywhere they go. And so it almost makes it sort of a letdown when you have to deal with any other company, not just with us here in the forensic space, but other places, because I've had situations where not just a computer broke, but something else that I bought broke, and getting support with that was just like pulling teeth. It's terrible. And sometimes it's pretty good. So you can actually visit us, Sumuri.com, as it says right there. You can always shoot us an email at hello@sumuri.com. You can visit the TALINO store. You can check out all the different models that I've talked about here. There's that, and there's more on there. We've actually got a special white paper that covers a lot of what makes TALINO so special, similar to what I talked about here. And in addition, we've also recently, one of the things that we did, I mentioned before how we've recently redesigned our chassis so that it's 3 millimeters thick, even on the panels on the outside. One of the things that we also did was we put in a special T grading pattern. This is something that we were really happy to get undone. It's such a cool little, almost like a party trick. It's so what we offer to people is completely free. You don't have to pay anything. We'll let you download 3D printed accessories designs so that you can print them at home. This includes things like an imaging tray for your drives that are plugged into your tablet unit, because I know those cables are kind of short. This includes things like a hook. You can do a pen holder, a cell phone mount. You can even do a little field goal. So if your TALINO is processing a case, you can play a little paper football like you're in high school again. It's pretty cool, and that's completely free, and we're always willing to listen to people if they have an idea for a new 3D printed accessory or anything like that. It's something that we're very proud of, and it's gotten a very positive reception so far. So overall, thank you very much for your time today. You can reach out to me directly as well if you'd like, similar to the hello@Sumuri. Mine is just sam@sumuri.com. And so thank you very much for your time.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending, and thanks again to Sam for this great presentation on the TALINO products. So with that, we'll be ending our presentation, and this will be posted on our social media feeds so that anybody that might have missed this is able to go and see it at a later time. Thank you very much.